What happens when the person who is to save humanity from happiness is the most miserable person in the world? Let's talk about Pluribus, Vince Gillan, the creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, newish show. Now I know I'm a little late to the party here on reviewing the show, but what I really want to focus on this discussion is what I think this show is setting up. So spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the show, I think what Pluribus reminded me of, at least in this very first season, was how it played out in Better Call Saul. When I first watched Better Call Saul, my first thought was like, oh, this show is going to be about Jimmy solving a case every episode. And it wasn't that. That first season wasn't even really about Jimmy being the lawyer we know in Breaking Bad, but rather an old folks home ripping off their residents and how Jimmy was uncovering that fraud. And looking back at it after 6 seasons of Better Call Saul, that was a monumental season that we didn't even know it yet. And I love when shows do that, and Vince Gillan's really the master, one of the masters of doing that. So this season, it reminded me a lot of that. A lot of setup. So this show, it will ask you to be patient with it. If you've seen it, you already know what I'm talking about. And sometimes, it's not as good as Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, at least in first season comparison. I really love Rhea Seehorn finally getting the flowers she deserved. I've always been saying she's one of the best actresses out there, and she finally got a Golden Glove. I think her and the guy who plays Manousos, they're bound to be an incredible duo going forward. And my one critique of the show is I wish we got there a little bit sooner. They used it as a season finale. I wish it was more towards the middle. It should have been done in like episode 5 or 6. I did love Manousos' story of traveling all the way from Paraguay to Albuquerque. But I feel that would have been great to have in the background while Carol is trying to discover things and is coping with what's going on and giving in a little bit. I wish we could have seen those earlier together, because I feel like there were some episodes where it felt like we arrived to the same conclusion. Like, how do we reverse this? How do we solve this? How do we convince everyone that this is a bad idea? I still do think that the pilot episode of this series is one of the best. I think it might be my favorite episode. And it's not a diss on the series that the best episode is the first episode. It doesn't mean that it went downhill. I feel like it just went like this. And then kind of like at the end it ticked up a little bit again. I really love the ending. It just felt like a mid-season ending. Which I guess we can even discuss that maybe this season should have been 18 episodes. Because now we're going to have to wait like 2 or 3 years for the next season. But overall, I really enjoyed Pluribus. I have a lot of theories. I think we saw what Manousos did with the radio frequency. And we know there's those huge satellites. So is there a way to reverse it and maybe create a cure to solve everyone? And I feel like the moment we see the first person cured is going to like throw shockwaves in the world. Because the others might turn from extremely friendly, I want to help you, to not necessarily like harmful, trying to hurt Carol or Manousos, but maybe more in a zombie way, like one of us, you know what I mean? Like, they're not really going to try to like, but they're also going to try to stop him. And when we get to that point, which I admit I could be wrong, I feel like the series is going to continue elevating. I'm very hopeful for where the story is going. A lot of the things that they're setting up is making me really excited. I think the show was well paced given where they went. Again, I wish we could have gone to some information being revealed earlier. But given that, I feel like even in some of the episodes, there was still a lot to enjoy from them. Again, just small critiques. And I'm pretty sure in the second season, they're going to come stronger. Because that's just how Vince Gillan shows goes. They just get better every season.